Okay, so now we're on end table planning procedure number 3, the D-ring assembly. So I've got my boards for my D-ring here ready to go. I've got some other items here ready to go. I've got a biscuit joiner that we're going to be using, and this is just a blade that comes out and cuts a little groove in the end of the board. Okay, and then we're going to use these biscuits, little footballs, to join things together when we glue it. We need to do a little bit of layout. Do not try to do this without doing layout first. Okay, so we're going to lay out our boards, get them so that they fit pretty good, and if you've done things correctly, things should fit nicely and they should have a pretty tight joint. If you've got problems with the joints not fitting tightly, you may need to trim just a tiny bit off whichever end's not quite square, but these look good here. Ready to go. So what I'm going to do is we need to mark where we're going to cut. So I'm just going to take my pencil and right in the middle here, right close to the middle, I'm going to draw a line. Okay, I'm going to draw a line across. So right in the middle. And you don't have to, you can measure if you want, but getting just close to the middle, eyeballing close to the middle is sufficient. So I've marked on both sides of the board here. Now I know where I'm going to be cutting with the biscuit joiner. One thing you'll want to do after you've made your marks on the boards is to label your boards, such as 1 and 1 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 3 and 4 and 4 in this case, so that it's easy to put them back together when we go to do the glue up. Now we're ready to cut the joint, okay? All right, so these two cuts first, in this case, you can do it in any order you want really, but make sure you clamp it down. Use this clamp here, and this is really nice because it'll slide and then twist it, okay? Then we're going to take the biscuit joiner, you're going to set it tight against the table, line up the red line with your line on the board, and we're going to make the cut. Now, there's a little dial here. This dial is set to 20. The biscuits that we're going to be using are number 20 biscuits. So we need to make sure that dial is set to 20 where the arrow is. There's 10, there's 0, but in this case we want number 20. Okay? And we'll make these cuts. Hold it tight, press it in, come here, press it in. And there you can see how it makes these cuts. These biscuits will fit inside of those and help join the joints together, okay? So I need to make the rest of the cuts on these boards here. Clamp them down again. This time on this one I'm coming in from the end. Do this one. And the last one. So now we have all these boards ready to go, ready for glue up. Okay, anytime you're doing glue ups, you need to have stuff ready. Take the time beforehand to get things ready. Get your clamps ready, get your boards ready, make sure you have the glue, make sure you have a little rag to keep things clean, and look, we're looking good here, okay? So I've got this stuff. I've got some glue here, and we're gonna start with this board here. Looks like I got number 3 and number 4. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna put some glue on this joint, okay, into the groove that was cut, and on the edge of the board, into the groove on this side, and the edge of the board, okay? And then we're gonna put the biscuit down inside. Should slip down in there. You have to press it a little bit, okay? Put the biscuit down inside there. Spread this glue out a little bit. Make sure that it's covering this joint area. That's why we have a rag, we can wipe it off. I'm gonna set that up like that. Now, this one's number 4, so I'm gonna find number 4. You need to put glue in this joint. You don't have to necessarily put it on the end of the board because we've got glue over here, but then we're gonna put those together and we're gonna line up our lines. And in this case, you may see a little bit of biscuit sticking out. So actually, this one didn't want to go in very good. Okay, so it's stuck there, so I've got a pair of pliers and pull it out maybe just a little bit. I'll just broke a little bit of piece off, that's fine. This one looks good, it's a little bit more centered. As I said, this one was kind of tight in there to begin with. Put that one in. Okay, so number 3 goes in now. A little bit of glue there. It goes in. That one goes a lot nicer there. And we're going to do the same to this side. Glue in the joint and on the edge of the board, glue in the joint and the edge of the board. I'm going to go ahead and spread it out first, it's just a little easier. Okay. You have about 5 minutes to work with the glue before it really starts setting up on you. A little bit of squeeze out here, just wipe that and wipe it onto the biscuit. Squeeze out on this end, I got plenty on that one. I'm gonna wipe it over on this side. Just put it where it needs to be, okay? A little bit of glue here. Doesn't take a whole lot. Just get some down in there. And then make sure your numbers are lining up and your lines are lining up. Okay, fit it close. So now you can see I've got these lines lining up really well, and so we're ready to clamp. And now, because of the way this table's laid out, I'm going to start this clamp over here just a little bit. Just snug this up here. When you do this, you want to try to make sure that the ends are lining up well. You may need to want a mallet here. You can tap on it with a mallet just a little bit if you need to. Okay, I'm just going to snug that just a tiny bit. Then I'm going to move this over to this side. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and put it in between so then it sits up nice here. Our grooves just don't quite line up the way they need to for this size of board. Okay, so it'll work good just sitting like that. Same thing, make sure that the ends are very close. And notice that now as I squeeze these together, you'll squeeze out some glue. That's what you want. You need to have a little bit of a glue squeeze out. Okay, and in this case here, we can just wipe up this excess glue with a little bit of a paper towel. It's not going to be a big deal because you won't see the D-ring when we're all done, and it's on the inside of our table. Wipe up any excess glue the best you can. And then this needs to be clamped for a minimum of 30 minutes, okay? So at this point, you need to put your name on it, label it D-ring, and then leave it in for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, you can take it out of the clamp. Don't leave it here on the glue tables. We put them up to dry against walls and just out of the way so that there's plenty of room for other people to do gluing on their glue tables.